Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Ready to make a shift? Well, let's have Kimberly White help us. Kimberly, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Bill. It's great to be here.
Now, to explain to our audience, your book is called The Shift, How Seeing People as People Changes Everything. So let's start out with that. The shift is for those people who are willing to see people as people. Can you get us a little further into that? What does that mean? Don't we see people? What do we see them as if not people?
Right. It's really interesting because everybody asks me that question. How else am I supposed to see people, right? Obviously, they're people. But let's talk for a minute about what a person is. A person is a human being that's born and has experiences, and they see the world, and people are mean to them sometimes and nice to them sometimes, and they have desires and talents and goals, and some of them are frustrated, and some of them they succeed in. And a human being grows up through life meeting people and seeing things, and they develop their own perspective on the world and their own way of seeing things, and the things that they are afraid of and that they hope for, and the things that they want and the things that they regret. It's this whole sort of beautiful mess that's completely unique to every individual person, the way they see the world and the way they react to the world, and the things that they do come out of these experiences that they have had, the feelings that they have, and the way that their life has treated them. That's a human being. An object is very different. An object, like a pen here on my desk, comes from the factory, and it exists for me. It only exists because I want to buy it and write things with it. It doesn't have any other purpose. It doesn't have feelings. If my pen stops writing, I might shake it, I might lick it, but I'm not going to ask it how it's feeling. I'm not going to say, "Pen, how are you feeling about writing this for me today?" Because it doesn't matter. It's an object, just an object. I can't change it. I can't fix it. If it comes from the factory broken, all I can do is throw it away. That's an object. Now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, as we go through our lives, interacting with other people, when we are focused entirely on our own interests and our own issues, very often that makes us see the people around us as if they were objects. Not that we're mistaken that they're not human, but that the impact they have on us and the way we think about them is the same way we think about objects. I have a coworker that rubs me the wrong way, that bothers me. I don't think she holds up her end of the workload. Well, I can see her just like she's an object. She has failed me. She's supposed to be doing this for me, and she is not. My goals are paramount, and all I see is the fact that she is failing to meet those things. The same way I get frustrated with a pen that isn't writing, as though she only exists to help me with my stuff. My neighbor that drives me crazy, he only exists to the extent he's a neighbor for me. And I don't think about what's going on with him, what his feelings are, what's happening in his life. I just think about how he's not doing what I would want a neighbor to do. So when I talk about seeing people as people, I'm talking about shifting from seeing people as though they were just objects that exist for me and that are irritating me or getting in my way, and starting to see them the way they truly are, which is human beings who have a perspective and a viewpoint that is completely unique and that matters and is legitimate.
Now, Kimberly, I know from reading the book that it's kind of amazing when we really get into this because, one, it makes it easier for the employees to do their work. There's less stress. They seem to enjoy their work. And the people on the other side, whether they're customers, patients, students, or whatever we want to call them in the different environments where we work, they're enjoying it more too because they're being seen as people. I think to probably best explain this, I think it's on page 3 in your book, there's a story about a fellow, Jason. You open your book with that. And you have many stories in there and anecdotes. But I think just telling us about Jason would get us started. Can you give us a brief overview of his life?
Yeah, so Jason works in a tiny little nursing home in the absolute middle of nowhere. And when I met him, he was pushing one of those floor machines. You know how in like old-fashioned elementary schools, they have those flat floors. They have to have this big machine that goes and polishes them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So this home had that same kind of old floor. And his entire job description was to push the floor machine on this floor. That's all he did every day. It took all day to do all the floors in the dining rooms and the halls and everything like that. That was his entire job. In a nursing home in the middle of nowhere, which to me would seem like a very sad life. So I went to Jason. I was chatting with him, and by this time I had met a lot of nurses and caregivers that were very warm and loving and happy with their jobs. But I was talking to Jason about his work, which I was not impressed by. I was very arrogant about what kind of work would make a person happy. But he told me that he loved his job. And he told me, and I've never forgotten this because it was so shocking to me, he told me that he has friends who all had the same similar skill level type of jobs. And that for all of his friends, their work was the thing they had to get through so that they could get to the weekend and have fun and be happy. But for him, the weekend was the thing he had to get through before he could come back to work, because work was where he was happy. Now, that's not because he had a glamorous job. It's not because he had a great growing career. I was just astonished by this guy. But his issue was he really, truly saw everybody as a person. His coworkers were real to him. His boss was real to him. And the people, the residents and the patients in the facility, they were real to him. And he spent his days, he pushed the floor machine, but that's not the only thing he did. When call lights went on and there wasn't a nurse nearby, he would go in, talk to the patient. What do you need? He would fetch water. He would fetch blankets. He filled his life with helpfulness and meaning. And he was surrounded by real people instead of being surrounded by objects. And he was tremendously happy in this job that I had been so scornful of.
Now, I know, Kimberly, from going through your book that there are many, many, many stories. We just changed the name from Helga to Harold to George to Frank to Francis to whoever. But I'd like our audience to know now that your book is The Shift, S-H-I-F-T. It's by our guest, Kimberly White, W-H-I-T-E. Kimberly, can you tell us where we can get the book, and is there a website you want us to know about?
You can get the book anywhere, any major booksellers, Amazon.com, 1-800-CEO-READ is a good one. And my website is KimberlyWhiteBooks.com. That's books plural.
Books plural. I'm glad you pointed that out. Now, just going back, Jason is one story of many. And we probably all say, oh, well, you kind of know in every business, if there's a big organization, there's always that one person who's perpetually happy and, does stuff. Mm-hmm. So where does this fit in? Do you need a certain type, someone like Jason, for this to work? Or can making this shift work in a 10-person dentist office to a, major corporation or a school?
I am convinced that the shift can work anywhere with anybody. Because here's the thing. There are certain skills and tools, in business that really certain personalities need to have. You need to have a calm personality to do certain things. You need to have an aggressive personality to do other things. You need to have a charismatic personality to get other things done. But to see people as people, you don't have to have any particular kind of personality. You don't need any particular education level. You simply have to take the time to see what's real about other people. And anybody can do this. It's not based on intelligence or anything like that. There are no limits to who can take advantage of this way of seeing things. And everybody is benefited by it. Because, we were talking about seeing people as though they were objects. And that's very unpleasant for others. It creates a very unpleasant working environment. I mean, Bill, have you ever dealt with somebody that you felt like just saw you like an object?
Most people. Yes, absolutely.
It's so frustrating. And then we find ourselves, battling with these people and having conflicts and doing things to undermine them and things to defend ourselves. So we spend all this energy trying to assert ourselves as human beings. When somebody is treating me as an object, I don't like that. I want to be seen as a person. And so I kind of assert myself and devote all kinds of energy to trying to make that happen. And that energy is not going towards my work. It's not going towards the tasks I'm supposed to be accomplishing, because I am devoting this energy to trying to protect myself.
Is this hard? Is this hard to get through to the manager or the head doctor or the principal of the organization or the CEO? Because it does seem the concept seems simple. Everyone can and should do it. Mm-hmm. And yet I will tell you, I'm astounded when someone does something. In fact, they just did it for me in the gym when I walked in the other day. And I think they thought I was crazy. I looked at them like, you must be wonderful that you can do this. Because most people wouldn't. They just don't care and they won't go out of their way. And, they just seem like they don't want to do anything more than the minimum. That seems to be the guide rules today. Exactly.
Why should I devote any more energy to this soft stuff, to this relationship building? I hear that all the time. It's a common attitude, but it's a real mistake. The issue is, and the thing that I would tell a leader, a CEO, is that seeing people as objects isn't just unpleasant for them. It's false. It's untrue, and it's wrong. When we see people as objects, when really they're people, we are missing a lot of information. If I treat my coworker like she just exists for me, or my report, if I treat him like he only exists to do the assignments that I have given him, I am missing the humanity of that person. So I can't possibly be an efficient manager for somebody who looks to me like an object. I can't possibly make the best decisions for my company if my employees look like objects to me, because they're not objects. And whatever I try to do with a bunch of objects, any initiative, any motivational thing, any sort of customer service push, whatever sort of thing I might want to try to push onto my people, is going to fail if they feel like I'm treating them like an object. And frankly, I'll probably make the wrong decision about how to implement the initiative if I see them as objects, because they're not objects. Yep. Seeing people as people isn't just nice. It's the only true way to be able to see your company, your office properly and truthfully.
You talk about an inward and an outward mindset. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes. And in fact, for people who are in the business world, the Arbinger Institute has a lot to say about this. They were the founders behind this company that led to my book. And they do a lot working with leaders specifically. And they use the term inward mindset to talk about what I'm calling seeing people as objects. It's when I'm focused on myself. I think about what I need, what's going on in my life, and the goals that I have. And everybody else ceases to truly exist for me when my focus is on the stuff that I need. An outward mindset means to turn outward and think about and care about what matters to other people. What's going on with my coworker? Why doesn't she get her things done on time? There's a reason for that. There always is, because she's a person. In the outward mindset, I'm open to finding out what that is instead of closed off from her experience and focusing only on my own.
I think that seems to be the key, because when I'm asking myself, I've never thought, oh, that person is just an object. I've just never used that definition. But did I think of myself first? Oh, yeah. Hey, if you didn't come in at 5 to 5, I want to get out of here. It's not my fault that you came late. Whereas maybe if I could stay another 3 minutes, I could solve your problem. You would leave happy, I would leave happy, and instead we're both, shaking our shoulders and looking at each other angrily and getting a complaint the next day and then having to answer it and blah, 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 all the way down the line. Yeah. Kimberly, we want to find out more about the shift, but at this point in the show, we like to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success. My name is Bill Horan. This show is produced at the studios of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll be right back after this brief intermission.
Paralyzed veterans Sean Halstead and Noah Courier.
I was Air Force from 93 to 98. I got hurt practicing combat search and rescue, fell off a fast rope. so shattered L1 vertebrae. I don't know where I'd be without paralyzed veterans. I've only seen that now.
Unite through struggle. That's what the Marine Corps and service is all about.